Hi, my name is Rich. I use the he, him pronouns. You're watching my YouTube channel where I play amazing tabletop role-playing games with friends. This is part of the ongoing anthology series that I've been running for almost 3 years now called Star Wars Saturdays. It's actually my afternoon, like the second game. So we go a little further afield in the Star Wars world, looser with our own established canon, all that fun stuff. And we are playing a game called Flotsam, Adrift Among the Stars, which is from Black Armada Games, written by Josh Fox. This is a belonging outside belonging game, which means that it is a GMless game that is within the powered by the apocalypse sphere. Also, the whole GMless part came about because of Dream Askew by Avery Alder. I have a number of really cool players with varying levels of experience with Star Wars and belonging outside belonging games that I think we're going to be a really cool, like pizza, like spaghetti. I don't know, like a combo that's good. A salad. I don't know. One of those things that's good when combined together. And I'm pretty excited about it. We have already worked through choosing playbooks for our particular individual characters. We're to the point where we can introduce them to each other and work through some relationships. And then once we do that, we'll go through and pick situations because it's a GMless game. There are different situations or like realms within our story that will be where one of us kind of has the tell, or they will fall into what would more traditionally be called the GM role. But we can be flexible about that, pick it up and put it down based on our needs. Luckily, I have a couple of folks who are pretty comfortable with belonging outside belonging, and I will lean on them like I will need to. Um, so those situations are pretty cool. Now, the other thing about Flotsam Adrift Among the Stars that we've talked about is that the assumption in Flotsam is that you are on a space station. It's inspired by things like Babylon 5 or Below Decks in Star Trek, even some aspects of Battlestar Galactica, the newest series, that kind of stuff. But Sam just threw out the idea of having it in one of the subterranean levels under Coruscant. Coruscant is the capital world of the Empire. Our time frame is about within a year after the death of the Emperor Palpatine. And so way up on the above surface, there's a bunch of craziness going on because last month we played Comrades and there was a whole revolution going on. It was crazy. Revolution, man, somebody should write a game about that. So Coruscant, though, down here in the below, who even knows if they know that who's in charge anymore? I think it's a great idea. I totally want to run with it. So we are saying that this Flotsam Adrift Among the Stars is actually underground and not adrift at all, just way deep
We're all
underground.
adrift among the stars, Rich.
You're so right. Oh my gosh, I totally want to watch Blame again before the next session. Blame is on Netflix. It's freaking amazing. It's one of my favorite anime. But I'm pretty picky and don't love all anime, so there's that. I am playing the playbook known as The Scum. The Scum was born here, has lived their entire life in the subterranean levels of. Oh, just a quick check-in. So Coruscant is this world where the entire world is one big city, and there are sub-levels that are entire kind of smaller cities. And there are at least 1,313 levels down, right? Because there's this whole thing around 1313, but it doesn't matter. There are thousands of levels down. There are people who will live their entire lives never having seen the sun of Coruscant. Just so we know, like, I don't know what level we're on. I don't think it matters. I don't think it's like a thing that we would even openly talk about, although maybe we will. So I'm playing Baku, who is a scum. Baku has two trusted friends, a Kowakian spider monkey. That's in the Return of the Jedi, the little salacious crumb thing that got shocked by R2D2 and screamed. It's Jabba's little pet, that type there, a Kowakian spider monkey. And then his other trusted friend, he's a human, and he has a lover who is a Dathomirian refuge. She goes by the name of Kith. Refuge? Not refuge, Rich. No, refugee. How about that? How about I pronounce words pronouncing the correct syllable? Anyway, so Kith, and I have a picture. Yes, that's totally a picture of a Sage of Interest, but this is not a Sage of Interest. I just like that picture. So please, if that breaks anyone's brains, then I'll change it. That's no problem. I've always found that picture fascinating. So his lover's name is Kith. She is a refugee from Dathomir. Let's see. Oh, his strengths are in junk crafting. He is pretty darn sneaky, and he has connections here in the below. Hey, we can actually just call it the below. His weaknesses are that he's mixed up with a local gang, and he's addicted to something. I have not defined what he's addicted to or the gang at this point, but I'm happy to as we play. Is there anything else that you guys think I should introduce about Baku the Scum?
Are we going to intro everybody and then do questions?
Yep.
Okay.
That's my plan. So Sam, step up, man. Introduce yourself and tell us about your character.
I think you had a question.
Yeah.
Oh, you did, Q? I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. What's the thing? I think it was called a lure. The thing that we point towards you to get a token.
Oh, what's my lure? When you put your trust in me to fix a problem for you, you gain a token.
Okay. So my name is Sam. I use he and him pronouns. I will be playing as Kritlo, who is a Syrian tech trader. They're the Fiat Mundi is like the stereotypical Korean, so that kind of outlook. And he is our spider. He can get you anything for a price. And so when you hook me up with something I need, or vice versa, you gain a token. I am hunted, and so my kind of interpretation of that is Syrians in general don't typically enjoy technology, or their kind of home world is very idyllic and not corrupted by the technology of the rest of the galaxy. And so Kritlo kind of got exiled from that for trying to, as he says it, bring everyone into the modern millennia, but they don't see it that way. And so I was exiled and hunted and found myself in the below levels of Coruscant. You can find Kritlo in a market. There's a specific market that if you are wandering around and you happen to come across him, then you'll be able to trade for some secrets or for some interesting wares. But it's always interesting to try and actually locate him or get to him, and only a select few even know which market it is. My strengths are useful items, weapons, medical supplies or technology, secrets, and contingency plans. And my weaknesses are that I have some ruthless commercial rivals who are willing to do anything to get ahead in the market, and I owe money to some insatiable loan sharks who I took a loan to try and also get ahead. So we are apparently both pretty ruthless here. And I think that's all I have.
Dang, rough stuff. Thank you very much, Sam. Cool. Stephen, would you like to go next?
Hey there, I'm Steven, he, him, and I am playing Riaka Solano, a Miralucan refugee who washed up in this part of Coruscant as a child, but has since developed the reputation as a local witch, basically. Like most Miralukans, I do not have eyes, but rather see with the Force, and I have certain uncanny powers that are pretty much manifestations of being an untrained Force user. I have baleful aura, spirit tongue, and dream walking. I think I'm probably someone who the rest of the community turns to only when they absolutely need to. Uh, and my weaknesses are that the superstitious hang on my every word, and my gifts aren't fully under my control. I like to think that probably if I were to ever encounter an actual Jedi or Sith, they'd probably sneer at my absolute nonsense that I spew about my powers. But, you know, fuck them.
Sure. I like it. Ariaka is very cool.
Yeah, and just since Cute asked with of you, my lure is that ask me to use my gifts on you or act on one of my visions to gain a token.
Nice. Thanks, Stephen. And now, because we have two Stevens in the game, Stephen Watkins will go by Q. So Q.
I'll go by Q for this game. And I use the pronouns he, him. Today I'm playing Argo, who is also using the pronouns he, him. Argo is an ex-clone trooper. Old bearded dude, always wears a hat or a helmet or something like that. Weathered, leathery kind of skin, probably piercing eyes. If you ever get a chance to look under the hat, there's a scar. It's a buzz cut with a scar along the side of his head. My lure is when you draw me into the concerns of the below, the area that we're in, you gain a token. I'm kind of marooned and kind of left out all by myself as an ex-trooper just trying to get by and not get hassled by the New Republic or the First Order or anything like that. Let's see. What else is here? My strengths are security systems, inspiring, which I think comes from his military background, and then obscure or arcane lore, and I think that's from his interaction with the more of a historical kind of thing, because he saw the events of the Clone Wars and then the events of the fall of the Empire and part of the birth of the New Republic, and probably saw Jedis in action during the Clone Wars, and basically would know what that is, whereas the normal person would think it was like magic. He knows it's, they're the Jedi generals. My weaknesses are I think troopers are despised here in the below. They probably oppressed a lot of the people in this society before, and my other weakness is that I want to help everyone. I think that there's a little bit of compensation going on there from what he was doing whenever he was an Imperial. It's been about 23 years since the end of the Clone Wars, and I think probably close to a decade ago, maybe 9 years ago or so, the Imperials kicked me out for being too old, and I'm just trying to eke my own way, trying to hide in different places and just scratch out a living.
That is cool. Did you have anything else, Q?
I think that's it.
Okay, good. So we'll go back around now and try to establish some relationships. Yeah, or actually we have some relationship questions. I'll start off with Baku. And just a quick question, Sam, Stephen. Do you guys want me to do both questions or just one and we go around and then the second we go around? Which do you think would be easier?
So from what I can see, there's not like a target on these, because a lot of BOB games have like ask the person to your left.
Mhm.
So I think it makes sense to just kind of do both of them off the bat, and then
Okay.
that way we make sure everybody
Sweet.
gets a nice kind of spread.
Okay.
All right. Before we hit those per request, I want to make sure and go over our safety tools. We have lines and veils and ask first, as well as X cards. So lines and veils. Lines means this is content we're not interested in exploring in this story. It's just not part of this Star Wars story. The lines are on sexual assault, harm to children, suicide, and torture. So that means if anyone starts to introduce it, I will remind them, hey, we have a line on that. Can you try it a different way? Veils are, we're okay if this content happens, but we do not want to shine a light on it, meaning we'll do a quick like screen wipe away or a fade to black. And our only veil that I see is for harm to animals. And then we have ask first, which means this content is contextually situational. So if you want to, it's right, nobody gets to harm my spider monkey. And if they do, then we fade to black. And he survives. So he can cackle again later. But the ask first means if this content is something where you're considering and you have the mind, the thought that, oh, I want to bring this in, check in with the table. And if anyone is like, oh, I don't really love that, you just need to say, can you try it a different way or something along those lines? And then there's no harm, no foul. We'll move it on, try it a different way. And if you're like, oh, that was the only idea I had, then just pull the table. We got lots of smart, very creative folks who will find a way. The ask first items are bullying, sexual content, slavery, homophobia, pandemic or virus, and then ask first on romance with NPCs and PCs. Yeah, cool. So just should check in before anything along those lines is brought into the game. So with that, let's circle back around and do our relationship questions. I'll start with Baku. Who have I made to feel welcome here, and how?
I mean, that might be interesting. Turn to Ryaka or also Argo.
Yeah, that's true. Either one of them could definitely benefit from a welcoming Baku.
I mean, I know that Argo, your thing is kind of being new to this area or trying to keep your head down. Might it be more interesting to have be welcomed by someone for you?
And I'm fine with that. I think Argo probably travels to kind of keep his distance to a certain extent. Yeah, so that sounds good.
So how did Baku make you feel welcome?
Mm-hmm.
I think he recognized me as a clone, but didn't out me as a clone. How does that sound, Rich?
Yeah, I'm not muted. Yay. I always get afraid whenever I talk that I've muted myself. I like that. I think maybe I've got a hollow of my parents and an actual clone trooper who like saved them at some point. They're not around anymore. Well, maybe we'll explore that. Maybe it's just a thing we know. But yeah, I've got like, I recognize you look just like them, except old.
Well, that's a good question. Do you know I'm a clone trooper, or do you think I'm the guy in the picture?
I think you're the guy in the picture, obviously.
Nice. Okay.
Do all clones look alike to you, Baku?
I mean, they do. They do. Who do I know is nothing but trouble?
Well, that's got to be Creechlow.
Yeah. And what have you done to affirm my knowledge of you being nothing but trouble.
Well, one of my questions is, what have I hooked you on?
Oh man, yeah, totally.
And so if we want to kind
I
of,
mean, let's just go with spice, like Kessel spice, you know.
yeah.
Dang, it means I'm probably, or you are affiliated with the Pike Syndicate somehow. That's not good. Not good at all. Nice. Oh, the history question. I just realized we should probably tackle those as well. What's tearing my
and
neighborhood? Yeah.
how do we handle, because the history question is a little bit new to me because I haven't encountered it before. In a how do we handle this? How do we handle those questions? Is that something you answer or that we workshop together?
I think we will workshop it together is my
Okay.
preferred approach.
Okay.
I think there was something in the book that basically said, when in doubt, ask the other players to answer
Right.
things for you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to read it right now just to double check my secondary. Okay. Yeah, it looks like just okay. So my history question is, what's tearing my neighborhood apart? Why haven't I stopped it? I kind of like the idea of the subterranean levels without the emperor around to crush the drug trade. That there's maybe like a Hut cartel activity going on, and then the Pike Syndicate. So there's some like drug wars going on.
I love that.
How do you feel that Riaka and Argo? How do you both feel about that?
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Steven?
like that.
Okay, cool. And I haven't stopped it because I'm nothing but a man with a man's courage. I'm just a guy, you know.
You're also hooked on the spice from one of them. So if you stopped it, then probably wouldn't get that anymore.
Fine, you're not wrong. Cool, thank you.
I love
That
it.
takes care of my stuff. So I've got a relationship with Argo, predefined, and Creechlow. And Riaka, I'll just stick you here, but we'll figure that out in play. Sam, you want to go next?
Sure, I can go next. We kind of answered the first one. The first question I have is, what have I hooked you on? And so I think that is definitely Baku. That's what we call it. And what did you call the gang?
The Pike. That's okay. The gang may have a different name. They're just connected to the criminal organization known as the Pike Syndicate. They do a lot of spice running. They were featured in the Solo movie, if you've seen that. If you haven't, don't worry. It wasn't awesome. I liked it, but it wasn't awesome.
And then either Riaka or Argo, what deal did you make with me only to renege at the last moment? Let's actually point that at Riaka, because
Okay.
you don't have any relationships yet.
Okay. So let me see here. Secrets. I think did you
Yes.
did you want me to spy on the dreams of one of the two gang leaders fighting for control of the place? and I backed out of that when I found out who you actually like, because you said I want you to look into someone's dreams for me, and then I found out that it was like someone that would probably kill me if they found out, and I was like, nope.
That's good. I like that. And so then I had to go back empty-handed to my client who's not happy, and now there's a whole slew of people who are not happy with Ryaka.
Or even that like you wanted in on his dreams so that you could like undersell him in commodities.
Yeah. And then the last question is, who wants revenge on me and why?
Oh God, is it this gang leader that you were trying to screw over, but then I backed out on?
Oh, we are just driving the screws on this cartel. Yeah, maybe I
Is
got
it the
in bad
Pike
with.
Syndicate?
No, I think
Okay.
the Pike Syndicate is like my
Okay.
source. So like they're
I didn't know if
I'm
like
in
maybe
close
you
with
were
them.
hoping to like move on up the chain in the Pike Syndicate, and then that hasn't worked out now.
No, I think that
Okay.
there's maybe like a hut connection or something.
Yeah, I could see that. You've just been
Yeah.
drawn into this overall drug war that's going on. So the drug lord for the Hut cartel knows you by name. That sucks. You don't want that. It's a terrible thing to have into it.
The local hut lord knows me my name and has a price on my head.
Yeah.
So I went and stole from one of the old Hut Cartel games the, Earth equivalent of what the different Star Wars spices are and put it into the chat, or Star Wars drugs are, so that since we're leaning a little bit towards drug cartel kind of stuff, we can kind of figure out what that means.
Yeah.
Is one of them tobacco or something like that? No. Spices like heroin.
Yeah. Sounds good. Cool. History. You got a history thing, right? Oh, you got revenge. Yeah,
That was my
right.
history.
That's right. It was your history. Sweet. So I think we're good to move to Steven?
Yeah, and I'm just kind of looking over my questions here. Do I want to point this to? We don't know enough about I guess kind of I'm interested in asking this if you have like a non-obvious answer here for this Argo. Otherwise, I might want to point this at Baku instead. What of your secrets do you wish I had not discovered?
Well, let's talk about, what direction you'd kind of like to push that. That could be um, something from my history to tie into that would be, I killed Jedi during, under orders. So, that I'm familiar with Force users and, participated in taking them out.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something along the lines of what you'd like to see?
Yeah, that's more along the lines. I just didn't want to go with that I am a clone, which
Oh,
seemed like the
I,
obvious
right,
answer
yeah.
to the question. Um, yeah, that works for me. I know that Argo is a murderer, is how I phrase that answer.
Yeah, and I think the fact that you're a Miralukan, finding out more and more about those people who were murdered and your powers, that's got to be pretty painful.
Yeah, and yeah, I like this question. Baku, in what way is our relationship thoroughly ordinary? I have a thought that I just also run a noodle shop, and that like you know nothing at all about any of the weird mystical stuff I do, and you just come to me for noodles.
I'm into that. Yeah, I mean, you're a mirror, Luke, and you get. I don't know why you can see with that weird blindfold on, but sure. Yeah, you just make noodles. It's good stuff. They're good noodles. Yeah, mirror, Luke, and ramen. Yes.
Yeah, and my history question I'm going with is what vision of the future have I seen? And that's something I do want to throw out to folks if they have an idea. I like the thought that there's either like an impending failure in our levels, because most of the levels on Coruscant like have their own inherent life support, because like the entire planet is a city and so has no natural like say carbon dioxide to oxygen cycle, um, or that I see one of you rising to become let's
It will be really interesting
yeah
if it's that failure, but the vision is of you causing the failure.
oh yeah Hmm. I'm thinking of like how yeah we can always work it out how that will be and how that will actually happen in fiction, but
Yeah, that's the like,
yeah
why did I feel the need to do this thing? What got so bad?
yeah
Hmm.
yeah I like that. Okay, cool, that is myself done.
Nice. So, Q, you're up.
Later, his relationship questions are, why do you want me out of here?
Hmm.
All you're good for is killing things, Argo, and frankly we already have enough of that around here.
That sounds good. I mean, the obvious answer is Ryaka wants me out of here because I'm a threat. I don't know that anyone else knows that, but I think you definitely do.
Yep. And based off the relationship question on Ryaka's side, that totally makes sense.
Yeah. The next question is, when you needed help, how did I aid you?
I think this would be an interesting one for Creechlow to hop in on.
I agree.
Perfect.
I think.
Yeah.
And I think maybe when you arrived, you brought something with you. And I had like something that it's impossible to get down here. And maybe you didn't realize how valuable it was.
Could that be knowledge? For example, one of my strengths is security systems, so it could have been that I got you
Oh, yeah.
access to something that wouldn't be normal.
Yeah, I brought you like an encrypted data cube or something,
Yeah.
and you just happen to know how to crack these because you deal with them all the time.
Or I
love
did
that.
20 years ago. This one's simple. It's fine. It'll be okay.
That's cool.
The history question is, what went wrong when I first arrived here, and who blames me for it?
Do you want to tie it into some kind of like one of the established gangs decide to make a move on you and you kind of by reflex took out a bunch of them, or is that too easy?
I have a thought, like if we wanted to build off that a bit, like because because Creechlow is based out of a marketplace, like was this like basically there was a big shootout like right in the middle of the market and a whole bunch of stands just got wrecked and everybody basically blames you for starting the fight even if you didn't cause it?
So let's take that a little bit different direction. I like that. What happens if I was confronted by someone who was basically bullying me, as I passed through or as I tried to settle down here, and whenever he jumped me by reflex, I basically snapped his neck or something along those lines. This turned out to be someone higher up in the gang membership, which caused everything to become unstable and then caused the shootout that wrecked all the merchant, and maybe the gangs are upping the price to all the merchants and all that kind of stuff because of that destabilization, and everybody knows I'm the person who started it. That sound okay?
Oh Lord, that's so much worse. Cool. So we have histories and relationships for everyone. I think we have all that we need for the characters. You guys ready to move over to situations, or is there anything I'm missing? I think we got it all. Sweet. So there are 5. Is that right? 5? No, there are more than 5. What am I saying? 1, 2, 3. There are a bunch of situations. We may stumble into a point where no one owns the situation, and we'll figure that out based off of who are in particular scenes. If you've got a particular area where your character is deeply involved in the thing, it's best if you don't choose that as your primary situation. And in that one, the situation means you're kind of, you have the say. You have a number of areas of focus, and you get to talk about how particular things work or all that good stuff. So does anyone have a particular situation that immediately calls to them?
Well, I think given the setup that I should probably be the one that picks up gangs, as I am the only one who is not like deeply enmeshed in all that.
Sounds good. So Stephen has gangs.
One of the things is there anything that someone would like to see that's tied into their character that someone else should take over? The example I have is Ryaka should probably be tied into the Force. So should one of the rest of us try and take that Force so that it's pointed towards you?
Someone should, yes.
Yeah, usually like it's always if you ever become entangled with the Force, you can always just say, can somebody else play this for now because I'm interacting with it? Like, so it doesn't matter if somebody doesn't pick up and play it immediately. It's just a matter of like, you'll probably end up, don't pick up something you'll probably have to just put down because like it's like something you're going to deeply interact with a lot.
Are all of these situations going to be present all the time? Or are we going to exclude some of them?
No, just like when it's interesting, we'll pick them up usually.
Yeah, and I will probably lean towards situations that have a person who has declared an interest in it. I'm interested in the above.
Are you so you're interested in taking that
Yes.
for yourself? Okay.
Now, that does mean that by being interested in the above, that the above comes and messes around in here. I think the drug war is probably the trigger point for that.
That makes sense.
Does that sound like something most folks will be interested in interacting with or having to interact with?
That's good. I was interested in interacting with poverty. So if Q, you want to pick that one?
I certainly will. Yeah, that sounds perfect. Thank you.
I would love that. Is there one that you are looking to interact with that I could pick up?
Not one that I readily see. Like gangs is an obvious choice. Possibly the resistance or war. But I don't have a strong no. I think all of these are fantastic. Maybe you should pick up the Force to point that towards Ryaka.
Yeah, nobody's picked that one up yet, so I can grab that. Perfect.
I still think that my boyfriend's explanation of midichlor of Qui-Gon is the most compelling. He's just the guy talking about chemtrails, and everybody has just had this conversation with him 100 times, so they just like don't contradict him whenever he starts talking about it.
Midi chlorines are a conspiracy theory.
Yes.
That's nasty, and I love it. All right. Anything else we need to do on situations other than choosing them and kind of looking through those areas of focus? There are a couple of choices on the look and the focus, but it looks like everybody's working on that. Something cool. All right. I recommend we take a break. It is 20 till. Should take like 10 minutes. I'll go ahead and pause the recording here, and we'll try to make up some scenes. See you guys in 10. Okay, we're back from our break. We have some time here. So we're sitting at 2 hours in. We have 1 hour left of play. Hopefully, we will be able to get a few scenes in. So, scene framing is where we are to. We have all of our characters. We have our situations. Do we have anything that obviously burningly must happen first? That is our frame scene question we start with.
Not myself yet. I have a thought that I kind of want to get an opening with Baku eating a bowl of noodles at Ryaka's stand.
I do want to see that too.
Do you want that to be a quiet scene?
It will probably go off the rails real quick, but I kind of want to open quiet, and then we can always activate our weaknesses to bring in problems.
Yeah, that sounds good. Sam or Q, did either of you have anything that obviously burningly you wanted to happen first? Or do we just open with noodle shop?
Oh, that sounds great.
Since Ryaka mentioned being in the market, we have something that would kind of establish being in the market, which was it gets shot up or it gets shaken down. And I was thinking, if the fiction leads us that direction, I'd like to kind of see, either some action at the very beginning that ties everyone together, or possibly a threat from one of the gangs coming in. But we'll see how that works out.
Okay.
Yeah, after all, somebody does have a weakness that will probably bring a gang into the full fray at some point.
Who would that be? What? No, what are we talking about? Mixed up with a local gang? That seems unlikely.
No, you're too good.
I'm such a good guy. Sweet. So we pick up at is it on the edge of market that you think your noodle shop is, or is it like right smack?
I think it's the edge of the market, and it's not rain, but I think that there's like a drip, that there's like a leak in some hydraulic tube that is producing the effect of rain just over this particular stand, dripping off of the eave over it.
Nice. And are you imagining this is kind of like is this a noodle shop that's been here for a long time? Is it effectively like a speeder truck that was hacked
I think it's been
into?
here for a while. I think I've like built it out of salvaged like metal plates and bits of cloth that I have welded and stitched together over the years. And
Nice.
like any random bits of like cooking tech that I could get my hands on to produce my kitchen.
Are you the only one who runs the kitchen?
Yeah, this is like my little tiny stand because I'm pretty creepy, so most people don't do business with me.
Oh, I don't understand that at all. Are people just come up to a counter and sit on stools, or
Yeah.
is it okay? Cool. So I think Baku would come up. He's dragging in this like net bag a bunch of junk that he will try to recondition or resell or melt down. But he's got it like over one shoulder, and he comes up with his Kowakian spider monkey. Does anyone not know what a Kowakian spider monkey looks like? Because I can grab a pic if you
I
need it.
basically remember them. They're like the
Okay,
little
cool.
pot-bellied guys.
Yep, little pot belly, very wide mouth, uh, tuft of hair. Do not speak, but make noise kind of like a parrot. In that it seems like maybe they could speak, but they've never actually spoken in canon, so I assume they don't. So yeah, I'm imagining that like after issues with fecal matter, he puts like a little leathery diaper on the Kowakian spider monkey whenever he goes around market. Is anyone opposed to him having a little leash? Is that okay if the Kowakian spider monkey has a little leash and a
Yeah,
lead?
that's fair. You'd probably owe a lot of people money for broken goods otherwise.
Yeah, I just want to make sure nobody thought that was. Yeah, so his Kowakian monkey lizard, Alderon, he sets him on the little counter area there, and just two bowls, please. How are you, Ryaka?
Yeah, and Ryaka turns around. They have already like had your noodle bowl, like your favorite noodle bowl ready before you were even sat down. What is it? What's it look like?
Oh gosh, and this is where Rich is a little ignorant on some different kinds of noodle bowls. I'll probably think along the ramen world. So
That's fine.
I think that there's some like fake meat. Not that he's a vegetarian, just that he can't afford like straight up meat. So I'm imagining it is a little bit like a tofu noodle dish that's you throw in a little bit of extra, not drug spice, but like spiciness. Like it's hot. It's not just physically hot, but spicy hot. And maybe what should we call it? Like we'll call it like I don't know, Gundark noodles because it's so hot. Gundark is this like
Yeah.
you know wolfy kind of doggy kind of lizardy thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gundark
I hope
noodles. Oh,
that
just like I
it's
love.
yeah, I hope that it's up to your uh I hope that it is up to your it leaves your palate pleasantly burned.
Oh, of course, of course. Oh, thank you so much. It's always so hot. It's like you just time it perfectly. How long does it take to fix this? Because it's always ready. Do you have this giant pot in the back or something, Ryaka?
Oh,
I think you
here
hear
I
us.
have hmm?
I think you hear a snicker from next to you. I'm going to throw in an NPC here. Ryaka, who is your confidant that knows, like that, who is also force sensitive and you can kind of confide in them?
Oh, let me go over to that name list. Uh uh Doro La. She's Togruta. Let me type it in.
All right. And I think this is probably the first time that Baku has seen somebody else at this noodle stand. Like you just weren't expecting there to be somebody else there.
Oh. Hello?
Doro here is an even longer patron of my little stand than you, Baku.
Oh.
And Doro kind of looks at Baku and says, "They do make the best noodles," and just kind of winks at you. She definitely thinks you're in on it.
I think we see the normal like Baku thing where he normally, because I think when he does spice, he often has the powder because that's the cheapest version of the spice. So he suffers from a lot of nosebleeds because it's just starting to do its damage. So he has this habit of just kind of sniffs a lot and it's good. I can't believe that people don't. I can't believe you don't have more regulars. How do you? He turns to Dorla. How do you know Ryaka?
Oh, we go way back. When Ryaka here first came down to the lower levels, I was there to help her out, and they've helped me in many situations as well. It's a mutual thing.
Well, good. And he will look over to Ryaka. Is it good? Does Ryaka seem like Dorola is someone they are positive towards?
I think that Ryaka is kind of giving Doro a look that, I mean, that like one of those looks that like don't spell out the game in front of the mark, dear.
Yeah, how are you going to stop Doro from spilling the beans?
I mean, I think that I reach out to Doro and run the tips of my fingers along her, I forget what the Chagruta tentacles are called. I know that they have a special name.
I know for the Twi'leks they're called Leku. I don't know if they have the same name.
Yeah, I think that they have their own
Montrals.
Thing. Yes, Montrals. Dear, I don't appreciate people spreading my business in front of everyone that visits my stand, Doro. And I think you'd appreciate that I do not spread your business around either. And I think that I'm actually going to invoke a weakness rather than a strength here, but the superstitious hang on your every word. And I'm curious, do you have an idea about like how Doro responds here that plays into this weakness?
Superstitious hang on your every word. Is Doro the superstitious one, or is Baku the superstitious one that's like like hanging on every little word that you say and like picking up connotations of things.
I think based on the established relationship with Doro being that she is also force sensitive, it might have to be Baku. If you're activating that weakness, then maybe Baku comes here. But then that violates a little bit of what we talked about, where we have a very mundane relationship.
Oh, that's okay. I thought that maybe Doro, because like she's probably not like, just because she's force sensitive doesn't mean she's not superstitious, I thought.
Fair enough. Yeah, I guess we could do it. I think it's more interesting to not necessarily have it be like a straight up Baku like knows, but he like I think it's interesting if Baku is like suspicious that something is
Yeah,
up.
I think that like when I do this, like maybe Doro shuts up a little bit too quickly. Like this is definitely one of those like situations where to any outside observer it is a deeply creepy situation here. And considering that Baku did not initially think perhaps that Ryaka is just some random person selling noodles, but this is not the kind of respect they should be demanding from random passersby.
So this is a little bit of
good.
the first hint for Baku
Yeah.
that Ryaka's a little bit more than, yeah, that sounds good.
And I'm going to ask first. Relationship with an NPC, is this okay?
Yeah.
I think she says. I think she like says something like, "Well then, all the more for me," and like winks at you, and you just give her the biggest death glare, if that makes sense. And that's what causes her to just clam up and say, "Okay,
Yeah.
I went too far, too much."
So I'd like to break up this a little bit
Sure.
with some noise. Oh, what's the shop that's next to yours? Do you think it's like a bread shop or like a hardware shop or something like that?
Like I'm thinking. God, we said that we're on the edge of like the marketplace. So what if it's like I'm just thinking of how off kilter it would be that there's like an actual tannery. Like this is like we're just kind of on that kind of weird mixed level of tech, but there is like a tannery inside this like
What do they tan? That's awesome. Is there some kind of
like maybe they just like
crop
catch
or-
maybe they just like catch the like vermin that like are common throughout Coruscant and like tan their hides to produce like vermin hide leathers.
wow.
So
That's cool.
I think what you see at this point, I'm going to pick up the poverty situation. What you see at this point is there's a little, we would call them a street urchin, and they come running out of that booth right next to you, and they've got a pair of what what on an adult would probably come up to like a high top or something like that, but for them they're like almost like boots and they're oversized, and they come running out with those kind of around their neck, and the laces kind of tangle them up, and they fall down right behind Baku's chair, where stool where he's sitting and eating. And you hear the proprietor of the tannery come running out shouting, thief, thief, and he's coming after this one. What do you do?
To whom did you phrase it? I'm not sure who you're asking. What do you do? Just like, do any of us take an action kind of deal?
Yeah. I mean, you just saw this thief come running out. There's this bedlam, and what do you do? Are you going to assist the tannery guy? Or are you going to assist the thief? The thief looks up at you and has these big round eyes. Let's say that they're actually Rhodian, right? Because they have big eyes.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Looks up and kind of reaches up towards you with those proboscis fingers, and says, no.
Yeah, I can't resist that. I think as the guy is coming, I'll say, Alderon, and I let Alderon off of the counter, and of course he's gonna like run, and then the leash comes out, and it's effectively gonna block to give this kid a chance to escape.
I think the kid gets up, and starts scrambling around, and probably runs around the edge of the Ryaka's booth, but you can still get there. But the owner of the tannery shop immediately knows and points at you and says, you're in on it. You owe me payment for the thief.
Yeah, Baku will say, "What? I don't know that Rhodian. I
Get
don't know
this
what you're
creature
talking
out of my face."
Come here, Alderon. You know that I named him Alderon before we lost that lovely planet. Have you ever been to Alderon?
And I think he kind of waves at you. What are you doing, Bianca?
Garrick, how many times have I warned you about cajoling my customers? Isn't it enough that I am subjected to your smells? Oh, those of the tannery as well.
So you can see things without vision, right?
Yeah.
I think you know that the urchin is kind of around the corner, kind of huddled, waiting for a clear spot. They're kind of cornered. They can't get out. The tanner, no one else sees them, but you can sense that they're there. And the tanner says, you just watch. The thief will be, the thief will be after you next, and just wait till someone takes some of your product.
I just kind of smile at this. I look forward to that, Garrick.
I think he kind of shakes his head and, so it's easier for him to protect it.
Yeah, and I think that as this is all happening, I kind of look over at Baku. It was good what you did there. Better than what I would have expected most men in your situation to do.
Oh. Well, hey, you got to make your way. And if she can get something to eat out of that, whatever it was she snagged, you'll barely miss it.
I would not ask this of anyone but you, Baku.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm having trouble in my business. Someone asked something far too great of me. They asked me to go against the Hutts. And I need to tell them that they will not get that service from me. Could I trust you to deliver that message to me?
Of course. You don't mean a forceful message, do you? You mean just honestly telling them that you're unable to make them noodles?
Among other things, yes.
Glance over to Dora Law, back to Ryaka.
Doro just kind of pointedly shrugs.
It's a man called Kreetlo. Have you heard of him?
I have. I know exactly where to find Kreetlo. You want me to tell him that you're unable to... Do you have transcribed message, or just I find Creechlow and tell them Ryaka can't help you?
Tell him that the path he is on will get everyone here killed.
Pass on, everyone killed.
And that is a warning, not a threat.
Warning, not threat. Good, okay. No.
It's like Baku not even questioning why a noodle shop owner is delivering this kind of message.
Oh, he's questioning it. He's questioning it. And then he puts Alderaan back on the counter and kind of leans over the counter a little bit. Rock, is there something else you should be telling me about this? Are you in some kind of trouble?
I wouldn't worry, Baku. I don't think that it's myself who's in trouble. I think it's everyone else. And that's honest based on my vision. Out of character. Like, I am honestly saying that, like, I am worried the harm that I will cause to everyone else.
Okay, because this Creechlow, really deep in, telling Creechlow no is usually not the best idea. But I'll do it for you, of course. Yeah. Okay, well, he drops a couple of chips on the counter, slurps up the last of the noodles, and maybe grabs some, like, I don't know if they're little dried noodle, fried noodle kind of stuff that he grabs and tosses for Alderaan to crunch on, and then he's going to go find Argo, because obviously if I got to talk to Creechlow,
I think
Yeah, and I should note, out of, like, just as a quick note to kind of for like those who aren't as familiar with this, I was invoking your lure there when you put my trust in you. When I put my trust in you to fix a problem, I gain a token. So
now
and I think that as you get up to leave, I think we see this little green hand reach up and grab like a small bowl and kind of pull it off like near the cooking area. Ryaka, do you think you've set it there on purpose, or is...
I've set it there on purpose, sure.
Yeah. And she kind of takes this bowl, and that's all you see.
So am I feel like it's a stretch, that's why I'm asking. But by Baku not asking many more questions than the weird vision you shared, am I acting on one of your visions and hitting your lure? It's a stretch,
Sure,
so
I mean, if you want to, it's open. I'm fine with you acting on that.
because if I don't, it's really hard for me to hit that lure because we stated the relationship.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. I'm going to take a token for that then.
And then there's if we go back to that, there's the end of scene when you display your heart. So is this something we should, like, check in on at the end of any given scene?
I think so. And if it comes to a point where we think that's too frequent, we can adjust. But it really is supposed to be end of scene. You display your heart so that another character sees something of your true self or your heartfelt feelings. At the end of the scene, they say if any of the following apply. Changed your relationship with them, brought you closer together, it pushed you further apart. What do you think? Do you think Ryaka?
Yeah, I think it like changed our relationship a bit, but I think maybe I feel like it's a mix of all three. Like, I feel like I'm confiding my problems in you, but you also saw something in me that, like, you hadn't known about me before. That I'm someone who like not only is feared apparently, but who is also, like, does business with people like Creechlow for unstated reasons.
We have a picture of our street urchin. That's great.
So yeah, I'm fine marking putting us marking checks with each other.
Sounds good. Awesome. So let's choose another focal character. It would either be Argo or Creechlow. Which do we want to go with next?
whenever you do the relationship thing at the end, is it always mutual, or can it be separate?
I think each person can have their own answer.
Okay, good. Thank you.
It's for primary and secondary characters.
Yeah, but it actually says if any of the above apply, you each may mark.
Right. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, but I think the answers could be different. Like,
Yeah.
it could be Ryaka says, "Oh, this has changed our relationship," and maybe Baku says, "Well, actually, I feel like it brought us closer together." Right.
Yeah.
So, but I do agree that in a way it did all of them, and it also complicated things because now Baku doesn't know exactly to think about Ryaka. I'm still sticking with "they make awesome noodles" for now because it's still true.
Yeah, and you rewrite it when you fill it out.
Yep. Okay, cool. So focal character. Who is our next focal character?
I'm okay with Argo taking the lead on this next scene, if you're okay with that.
It seems like to me that the next scene that we'd see in the show that we're building or whatever would be possibly Baku going to see Kreethlo. Could Argo be there?
Oh, no. Baku is going to find Argo because he doesn't want to go mess with Kreethlo unless he's got a little bit of a backup.
Oh, that's right. That's exactly right. Yeah. And
but if you want to start the scene with Argo doing whatever you want him to be doing, and then I can just kind of stumble in, that's cool too.
yeah, so I think Argo has like a little hovel that he shares with 2 or 3 other people, and he's out in front of it, and he's doing some menial task, like he's hammering away at like a chunk of metal to straighten it out, and see if he can possibly sell it or something like that. That's what he's doing whenever you come up across him.
That metal, you got to be careful. It looks kind of old. It could crack rather than bend. It's probably better if you get her a little warm. There are a few vents that are exposed that are just hot enough to stay away from. But if you've got a tong, you can warm that sucker up. It's free of charge.
Oh, so where are these vents that you're talking about? Which ones?
Oh, you know what's interesting, my friend Argo, is that they're on the opposite side of the market, and I actually need to go there. We could go together.
Oh, that sounds perfect. So I think he picks up like his little hammer that he's been using, and this chunk of metal, and maybe another one, and that second one has actually already been split a little bit, and says, "Okay, great." And he grabs like a pair of used chopsticks that he's going to use as tongs whenever he heads over in that direction.
Oh yeah, and by the way, I think I'm currently drawing you into the concerns of the below, so you can gain a token right now.
Is that? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's. Oh no, I draw a
No,
token.
You get one.
You get a token.
Yeah. But yeah, assume so. And you know what? Technically, I mean, you've got a problem. You're trying to hammer out this metal, and so
if it becomes important, I'll take a token. If this metal becomes significant, we'll do that.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'd like to kind of flesh out the scene a little bit more. I think.
Sure.
Who is like the enforcer for your street gang that you have dealings with a lot, Baku?
Oh yeah, the street gang that I have troubles with. I mean, could it be a Wookiee? Is it a Wookiee? Yeah, so we're gonna go with a Wookiee named Chawa. That's the enforcer, because who would argue with a Wookiee?
Yeah, and I think the Wookiee has a vibroblade greatsword strapped along his back. And there's a kind of, I think that he has a few kind of clearly less intimidating folks with him, but he sort of leans on, he sort of walks up and leans onto. And so what was your relationship with this gang? How are you mixed up with them?
Oh, it's a weakness of mine. I'm mixed up with a local gang. I don't
Yeah,
think we
but
ever
like,
define how.
I thought that you said you were actually involved in the gang, which is what I originally thought. Like
Oh,
that it was a
sure.
weakness because you were involved with them and they like, it's going to be a problem eventually.
Yeah, I'm into that. I think maybe Baku was maybe even like a full-on member of the gang until he met Kith, his lover, and so now he's distanced himself from them, but hasn't like broken off yet.
Yeah, and he roars in his Wookiees. Baku, I thought you had abandoned us for your little uh what's your lover?
Kith.
Kith, no, like their species.
Oh, just like a Dathomirian.
Yeah, Deathomirian plaything. But now I see you're hanging out with washed up old men with a thing for metal plates.
Ah,
And I think he definitely like kind of leans onto the metal plate and shoves it over a bit to like cause some damage that you were just trying to buff out already, Argo.
And I think so. Argo kind of stands up, and he knows a bully whenever he sees one, and he's going to step between Baku and this Wookiee, and he's going to say, "We don't want any trouble here. It's none of your, we're just leaving. If you want something here, just take it. There's nothing worth anything here."
The
Um,
conversation is between me and Baku here, little human. I'd warn you, I've torn the arms off bigger things than you.
I understand that, and I'm just saying that, and I kind of turn around and look at Baku and I say, "So, do you want to stay and talk to this guy?"
I mean, I should
Yeah.
just for a minute, just for a
Is
minute.
this also, I should note, is this
Thank
you
you, though, friend.
keying into your weakness? You want to help everyone, Argo.
Oh yeah.
Yes, yes. And I think whenever I did this, I actually turned my back to the Wookiee, which is a little bit of an insult, right? But whenever Baku, said, "Yeah, I should handle this," Argo will kind of step out of the way, but not too far.
Nice, nice. And I'll turn and say, Chawa, what do you need? What do you need, my friend? I was working on something for Ryaka, the noodle merchant. They asked for some help, but what do you need?
And fictionally, who is this local gang loyal to? Because we established that there are
That's a great
two
question.
kind of interstellar like cartels active in this area. The Huts
Mhm.
and the who'shamacallits.
Hike.
Huts and the
Yeah.
Pikes. So, yeah, do we want the street gang that Baku is nominally a member of to be part of the underneath the Hut Lord who knows Creechlow by name and has a price on his head, or to be part
Yeah.
of the Pike
I
Syndicate?
think it's
that
Huts
probably
is more interesting here, just to make things even worse.
Okay. Sure.
Word
that
on the
sounds good
street
to me.
is there's a death mark out, and we're looking to be the ones to claim it. I'm gonna need good men for that, though, and, well, you're not a good man, but you're a flesh shield, at least.
I'll do you one better, Chawa, because I'm sure that you want to claim this death mark. I'll find you someone better than me. That's what I'm good for.
Baku, I don't want someone better than you. I want you. It's a matter of loyalty, and I've been saying good things about you, but most of the other guys, they're beginning to think that you're being a little bit disloyal, playing around with your little old man polisher friends here.
All
They
right.
want to see some blood so that we know you're with us.
I understand, Chawa. I'll meet with you in just an hour then. We'll take care of this. We'll find whoever it is. Oh, who is it that the death mark's on?
Some Syrian appropriate Star Wars slang here.
Slimo.
Yeah, Slimo, by the name of Creetlow.
Creetslow. I don't know that name. All right.
Is this you
Let me.
using your strength sneaky?
Yeah, I think I'm using my strength of sneaky. I'm going to spend a token to use my strength of sneaky.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely that like cinematic like gaze between you two where like, does he believe, like you don't know in the audience, does he believe him or not? But then he just kind of backs away. All right, Baku, take care of your old man business, and then we'll talk.
If only we humans could age like you, Chawa, he says. He pats up towards your shoulder. And then Argo, thank you for waiting. Did you know that Chawa is 203 years old?
I think Argo says there's many things I know about the Wookiees, and I think he's got like a big wrench that he's kind of, resting in his hand, and he's kind of sized up. You said the minor crew members that are kind of behind him, trying to figure out which one needs to go first so that they don't all pile on him. He goes, okay. So Rich, remind me, whenever you said that you wanted to go across town, did you tell me who you wanted to go see? I don't think
I don't think he did. No, I don't think he dropped Kreetlow's name.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
Yeah. So I think that, Argo's like, sounds like a good time to leave.
Yeah. Oh man, sorry about all the trouble there, friend.
And I think as we're heading off, Argo keeps his eyes on that gang to make sure that they're not following or something like that.
And I try to. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, he tried to turn Argo around because if you look at them, mate, it's a challenge. It's like a fight. It's like a pair of Rich is like running low on Star Wars animals that would be. Oh, it's like Gamorreans. If you look at them too long, they think you're challenging them to a fight. Wookiees aren't that different.
That's true, but there are times whenever you shouldn't let the womp rats like that direct you and push you around.
That's true. This is one of the times when we should. I say this.
I see. Okay.
Argo. So I think maybe we reached into scene. Let's do some like into scene stuff. Did you display your heart? I feel like Baku didn't, but Argo did.
In what way?
Well, Argo showing that he was willing to scrap and help with the.
Well, and Argo at the end with that last statement that you said, where it's like, this is one of the times where we just walk away.
That's
right.
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Okay.
Cool. So when you display your heart, sees the something of your true self, your heartfelt feelings at the end of the scene. You can say if any of the apply. Did that change your relationship with me, bring us closer together, or push us further apart?
I think it brought me closer to you in that I feel like, I feel a little bit more protective. I think in the past, you were like, oh, hey, is there anything I can help you with, and that kind of thing. And from my perspective, it was like, okay, this guy needs a little bit of protection.
Cool. And then I just want to make sure I'm doing this correctly. I mean, I just approached my hero and he like totally was there for me. I feel like it kind of brought us closer together, but probably won't work out for Argo that way. But still, our relationship. So I'm going to mark that, and I'm marking the weakness, or I have marked the weakness mixed up with a local gang, and I took a token for that because that kind of stumbled into me.
Yeah, and I marked you want to help everyone and took a marker for that.
Good. Okay. So let's shift to Kreetlow being our focal character.
Yeah, before we start, do we want to do another scene or do we want to end a little bit early so we can do wrap-up stuff? Because I know, Rich, you said you had to leave right.
That's a real good point. Cool. If you guys are okay with it, maybe ending just now-ish so that we can do the wrap-up is a good call. Thank you, Sam.
On the way that we're headed to Go
Yeah.
see Creetlow. Okay.
Yes. Note to future Rich. Next scene is, well, next scene is really Sam as focal character, but one of the things that could happen is Argo and Baku showing up. Awesome.
Perfect.
We had to figure out some of the circle around for Ryaka, if it's some whole new thing, if it's a Doro Law problem, if it's that little Rhodian girl or guy or a street urchin, and we'll figure that out. Awesome. Good stuff. Sweet. Do we have post-game stuff, or are we just going to do post-game feedback? Does Flotsam have post-game? I don't think it does.
I don't think it does.
The end of first scene, read this, but out. Nope. Nope. Does not appear so. So let's do a quick bit of, so that brings that. I'm gonna pause the recording for a minute. Sweet. So to close things off, we're going to do stars and wishes just around for everyone. We'll start off with wishes, end with stars. Wishes are, I wish that X or Y part of this game was like better explained, less confusing for me. Again, I didn't read out the book to folks, and I think the book does an overall really good job of it. But if there are any particular aspects of the game that you want to make sure we focus on or explore a little bit more, that could be a part for wish. And the other wish category is generally these are things I'd like to milestone out, things I definitely want to see. These are characters that I'm interested in, all those things of I wish this could show up in our next session. Who would like to go first for wishes?
I have like a few thoughts, because I do think that, like, now that I've kind of looked through it a little bit, I do think that there's like a few things I think coming from other belonging outside belonging games that I think I'd encourage folks to think about, because eventually I did just kind of come in with setting elements. But like, unlike most belonging outside belonging games, where like your weak moves are couched very heavily in terms of things you do, like a lot of the weak moves in this game seem more encouraged to thinking about your character in term, like, as an author. Because like you have, for example, you are tied up with certain gangs. Like, I feel like the idea is that that you're supposed to like evoke like those weaknesses, and then my gang shows up. Like that it is a permission to you to say, like, people come into the scene to cause problems now. Like, I feel like keeping that in mind might help push scenes to like a conflict more easily a little bit. But I think overall the scenes we did have were very fun. I'm just saying, like, to help get people those marks for the XP and those tokens, that's something to keep in mind.
Cool. Thank you for that note. Did you have any other wishes, Stephen?
I mean, I know I basically set up like an entire triangle surrounding Creetlow in this first session. Hope you're fine with that, Sam, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that all pans out next session.
Cool. Thank you, Stephen. Wishes for me. So I have wishes on both sides. So first thing is, I'm still struggling, might be too strong, but I'm still wondering, the strengths in other belonging outside belonging games are very clearly defined. Like, I do this, right? Spend a token to X or Y. I'm not sure what I spend a token to junk crafting do. Right? Is that I spend a token that junk crafting gets me out of this situation? I don't know.
Yeah, I think the idea is that in this game, it's kind of strips away, like, because really what you do in other belonging outside belonging game, I mean, I'm sorry, I don't want to like just, I think in like other belonging outside belonging games, usually a strong move is you saying, and I take control of the narrative now. That effectively, I think, at least when I was looking at like the character sheets, that like you've resolved this complication and you take control of the narrative is basically how the character sheets read in that quick start. So I think keep thinking of it that way, that when you're making a strong move, when you spend a token, you're saying, no, I'm taking control of the narrative now, is my impression.
Okay, that
Yeah.
helps.
So I'm actually reading the section on primary, they're called primary moves. So you can activate your strengths without spending a token. But doing so, when you take action that is difficult or risky for them and you use one of your strengths, you invite other players to add complications to the scene. You can spend a token to say there are no complications with what I'm doing and I get to narrate how this scene goes from here on.
Interesting.
So, yeah, so when you use one of your strengths, call it out so everyone can pitch in complications, or you can spend a token to narrate your actions, including the results, and just get the result that you wanted.
So it sounds like, in what I know of other belonging outside belonging games, these strengths can be used as a neutral move.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if you wanted to take control of the narrative, you have to spend a token. Otherwise, folks are going to kind of sort of devil's bargain you, to steal a parlance from other styles of games. Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. It's very helpful. Thank you both for helping me struggle through that. So, Q or Sam, do you have any wishes? Who wants to go next for wishes?
I can go. Yeah, so I think the only mechanical wish that I have is like, there's all these scrutiny questions that I want to figure out how those work, how those feel. It sounds like they almost get used like moves, and you can just like spend a token to get the answer that you want, or you can ask it and have somebody else offer an answer to get a token. So I want to explore that a little bit next time, see how that goes. And then story-wise, I've got a lot of stuff piled up on top of Creeklow, and I'm gonna have to dig myself out of a pretty deep hole here. I'm looking forward to that. I don't know, that's not a bad thing. It's just it's gonna be exciting to try and see how Creeklow gets out of this nonsense.
And
Yeah.
I just want to reiterate, if I'm ever like pushing too far, feel free to just time out and I can always like pull back. I don't know. I don't want to like push the story into a place where it becomes unenjoyable for someone else.
No, especially this early, I think it's great. If this was like a finale and you're still doing that, maybe I'd pull back, but right now it's perfect.
And to pre-play just a teeny bit, I'm not convinced that Baku is going to go after Creeklow at this point. It's entirely possible that I'm going to deliver Ryaka's message, and oh, by the way, Chua is after you, and there's trouble. Just so you know, I think that's his current, and like that's where his head's at right now. Cool. Thank you, Sam. Q.
Yeah, so I actually have a few things that are interesting. And so I have played a playtest of another belonging outside belonging game, and this is something it seems like that wasn't strong or that we struggled with in that game as well. The first is the picking up of the situations and driving that situation and what exactly that does. So it felt a little bit clunky to me during the first scene. I tried to pick up the poverty and show a street urchin and show the need from the people there, but there wasn't any mechanical payoff there. So I'm curious, was there something else that should have been done, or is there a mechanical thing where, you get paid a token or something for the complication that comes around from the gangs and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think generally the way I tend to approach like it playing setting elements is that is to tie them pretty immediately into the player characters, as opposed to like people that happen to be passing in the background. Like the urchin, like ultimately they were a nameless character that wasn't even related to what that like none of us knew. And so it's kind of, there is, like you said, no inherent payoff to like going out of our way to interact with that character. And so things that sometimes I like to do is, like I did with Rich, is to ask leading questions that and then play off what they tell me. Like I said, who is this gang member that you have dealings with in the past, and what is your relationship with them like? And then that gives me a way of making a kind of meaningful kind of moves upon them.
So it would have been better if I had tied in, like, the tanner came up and said, "You owe me money," and Baku, what do you owe him money for, or why is this merchant mad at you, or
Yeah, like
tied
why
in
do
more
you?
personally.
That would have been great. Like, why do you know this merchant? Why are you
Okay.
in a debt to them? And now you piss them off even more.
Right.
Force them into that situation. Get them to either spend tokens or use a weak move or something. And that's where the mechanical payoff is like forcing the primary into a situation where they have to engage with their own moves.
Okay. The other thing that felt a little weird was the participation of everyone. We don't, in other role-playing games, you have the whole party together and everyone's acting. In this case, and this was true whenever I played this system before, is you don't. You very much split off into like two people, and then the other two players pick up the world playbooks and do something with that. Is that true? Is that accurate? Or it just felt a little weird? Not weird. It felt uh, different than what I'm used to not have more of the players in on scene.
I'd say it's relatively accurate. Sometimes I will see, like, we'll do bigger kind of, but even then you still kind of want to split it off into smaller scenes within those bigger scenes, because the problem is if everybody is being their player character within the scene, it gets kind of difficult to also manage who's like managing the setting elements and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Usually I found that the scenes just flow more easily when there's at least one person who's not like at least the focus of the scene.
Yeah, and Flotsam itself does. If I don't know if you noticed the terminology of focal character, I didn't do that when we first started off, but then I tried to gravitate towards that. That in the play aid or shoot, what's it called? Hold on, in the thing rules summary, it says you need to pick a focal character, and that rotates around.
Yeah, another thing that helps me aim with against setting elements, and this is something I had offered advice to in before, is to look at the other, like what I did with Baku, is to look towards the other characters' weaknesses and just pick up and say, I see they have this weakness. Let me give them an opportunity to hit that by like picking up a setting element that plays towards that weakness.
Okay.
Thank you, Stephen. Q, did you have any other wishes you wanted to throw out there?
I did not.
All right. You went last for wishes. You get to go first for stars. Stars are particular moments of play or highlights of players' actions or decisions. Any stars you'd like to hand out?
So I really like all of these characters. Coming into the game, the what I'd seen from the playbooks from the character keeper seemed very open-ended and seemed very difficult to get my arms around. However, after we went through character creation, that was fantastic, and I have a very good feel for all of these characters, and they're very exciting. Well, to be honest, I liked how hard Stephen was pushing on the Crete Low character to kind of pull up some of that drama, and so I'm excited to see where it'll go.
Thanks, Q. Sam, you're up next.
I am up next. Yeah, I had a really good time. Stars to Rich for basically being in every scene, and just so
Sorry.
and yeah, and I think you're going to be in the next scene too. So it's good on you for that. But that's kind of how it goes sometimes. Um, and I mean, that's something I think that we did well this time. One of the things that I've noticed about BOGP games is sometimes with 4 people, especially, you'll get two, 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 and you'll basically have 2 completely separate stories going on. And so I think we did a good job of looping everybody in and tying this all to one big cohesive story that's happening, which I think is great. And also stars to Steven's portrayal of the Wookiee. That was fantastic. I loved him. Chawa. That was a great character.
Yeah, I agree. I'll be next for stars. Stephen, thank you so much for your help, like in and out of game, not just like out of game, reminding Q and I of rules and stuff, but also in game, pushing things, introducing complications. Really enjoyed that. Q, I like Argo a lot. He's going to get in a lot of trouble, and that's going to be awful and amazing. And Sam, thanks for being such a very helpful person in all the setup, and then also like being ready to jump in with setting elements. I can't wait to see Creetlow on scene. I feel like this is the only. I wish that I didn't say out loud that I'll sneak in here, even though we're not. Like, what? Oh, I wish we could have seen Creetlow on scene, but we're going to open up with you, so hopefully that will cure it right away. Steven, you're the last for wishes. For stars. Wishes, stars,
Yeah,
stars.
I really enjoyed that whole. I mean, I really enjoyed both Baku's scenes. I felt like that I got such a great sense of the character, and I just loved Argo's like quiet, like you're threatening me. I'm just gonna quietly like plot and threaten in the background. As Baku tries to like stop things from turning to violence. I thought that was all great. I'm just kind of thinking here. I liked the little addition of Doro to that scene. I thought it introduced this kind of great little wrinkle in the relationship between Ryaka and Baku. And it felt very appropriate to this kind of sci-fi noir to have like Baku suddenly becoming aware that like this person they thought was just like some random like noodle vendor is like someone who commands like terror and respect in like some other sphere that they're not a part of, which I thought was a nice little touch there.
Yeah, I agree. Dora Law was cool. Awesome. Well, then that means we are up to time. Thank you all so much for participating in this. This is already one of my favorite belonging games, like top 5. So that's great. This session here with the 3 of you. So thank you all so much. We'll bring this stream to a close.